Are you thinking about a flow survey? Well, you're in luck because I have 7 tips to help you. Coming up next on Tech Review. Do you know how much water you're using? Do you ever want to check your pump performance? Do you need to verify the accuracies or calibrate an existing flow meter? Well then, this might be a good time for you to conduct a flow survey and answer those questions. It just so happens that I have 7 tips on flow surveys to help you out. All right, tip number 1. You need to define what your application is. Are you going to measure water, wastewater? Are you going to visit a chemical plant, testing a cooling tower, or measuring the city water usage of an office building? Let's face it, if you have a pipe full of liquid, the applications are endless for a flow survey. Which brings us to tip number 2. What is your data collection objective? Are you just spot checking? Doing a quick test here, monitoring flow rate, and then picking up and moving over here and testing again, and then writing everything down in your test report? Or are you hunkering down for an extended flow survey for an hour, a day, a week, a month, perhaps even longer? If so, you'll have to data log all that information. Brings to mind tip number 3. What equipment do you need to conduct this flow survey? Well, that shouldn't be too hard. We already know our application and our data collection requirements, so we can select the appropriate flow meter. In this case, I have to need to monitor, let's say, a 10-inch carbon steel chilled water application for a week. So I selected a Fuji Portaflow Ultrasonic transit time flow meter with a data logger and a transducer for the 10-inch pipe application. Well, that's great if you own the equipment. If not, you'll just have to go out and buy it. Or since perhaps this is just a short-term requirement, why not just rent it? This brings us to tip number 4. Now, you will need to prep the metering site. If you have an easy access to the pipe, then it's no big deal. But if the pipe is covered in insulation, you may need some assistance. What if your pipe is high in the sky or just difficult to get to? You may need a ladder or set up scaffolding or even outsource some support so you can get to the pipe. This takes time, perhaps more labor, and may add to your expenses that could affect your project budget. Tip number 5, it's all about the pipe. All right, when it's time to install a flow meter and you have the insulation off and access to the pipe, you can now mount your transducer. But make sure you have enough straight run of pipe for optimum performance. For pumped flow, you will need the traditional 10 pipe diameters after an elbow and 5 pipe diameters before the next elbow. As for the pipe surface, all you need to do is remove any loose material or moisture. In most cases, a rag will do you. But if you have an old rusty pipe, a wire brush might be a handy tool as well. All right, time to program your meter with the type of processed liquid. In most cases, that'll just be water. Then the pipe material and the correct pipe ID and wall thickness. This is a classic case of garbage in, garbage out. If you don't know the pipe size, well, just wrap a tape measure around the pipe and divide it by pi, 3.14, to get your pipe diameter. Then you can match it to an ANSI pipe chart to confirm what pipe size and material it is. The pipe chart usually comes with most flow meters, or I'm sure you can find one on Google. In most cases, metal and PVC pipe will be Schedule 40, ductile iron, Class 52, and copper tubing is usually Type L. Everything else, well, you better check it out on a pipe chart. Make sure you're right. Tip number 6, power up. If you're just making a spot check, well, you can probably get by just hand holding the transducer on the pipe and get by with the flow meter battery. Now, the Fuji will last for about 12 hours. If you're conducting a longer flow survey for a day or longer, you'll need to plug into a wall socket for power and trickle charge the meter. Now, the Fuji Portaflow will last you for about 12 hours. If you're conducting a longer flow survey for a day or longer, you will need to plug into a wall socket for power and trickle charge the meter. So, to access that power outlet, you may need to go get that 100-foot extension cord out of the back of your truck. Should you have no access to power, then you're limited to the flow meter battery. Unless you have access to a couple of car batteries and perhaps even a solar panel. But this should not be a surprise to you, since you should have covered this issue under What's Your Application? Tip number 7, the data logger. If you're leaving your flow meter behind for a flow study, in some cases you can just reset the totalizer and you're done with it. However, if you'd like to log your flow rate, your total, even your temperature or BTU for energy, you'll need to fire up the old data logger for sure. Now, to program it, you need to start off with your start and stop time and how often you like to take a sample. Well, most people use once a minute sample rate, which adds up to 1,440 data points in a day. Over a week or more, that's a lot of data. Well, the Fuji Portaflow logger stores the data on a 4 gig SD card as a CSV file. That's a ton of storage space. So, no problem for the Fuji Portaflow data logger. It can log data until the cows come home. To retrieve your data, just remove the SD card and put it in your computer. Open up Excel, and there's all your data. I hope these 7 tips will improve your luck with your next flow survey. For more information about the Fuji Portaflow Portable Ultrasonic Transit Time Flow Meter, visit our website or just give us a call. This has been Brent Baird for Instrumentsdirect. See you next time.